This is a Saturday Morning TVLog from Big D's Entertainment Rankings and Reviews. Cowabunga!
Welcome to another Saturday Morning TVLog, and this time around it's Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, brought to us by Fred Wolf Films. Greetings, my fellow YouTubers. I'm Noel, the Big D to y'all. This, of course, is Big D's Entertainment Rankings and Reviews. So today's Saturday Morning TVLog is Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, the original animated series that ran for 10 big seasons from 87 all the way up to 96. Well, yeah, for 10 big seasons. The show was actually done by Fred Wolf Films, and although the company was originally Murakami Wolf Swenson, who produced it originally, along with French company IDDH Group. The first television adaptation of the superhero team of the same name created by Kevin Eastman and Peter Laird. Anyway, the show was really a great part of my childhood. Now, I did get to see the show when it was in its third season in 1989. Now, the show actually did originally start as a Saturday morning show when it started in 1987 as a 5-part miniseries. And then began its official run the following year in 88. Of course, the show is set in New York City. The series follows the adventures of the title characters, who may have started as 4 ordinary turtles, but of course, if you know it by series, well, I'll get to this. I'll get this to you. The origin story in the original series, it started in 1987, which had a comic feel to it, along with action adventure and what have you. Well, deviates significantly from the original Mirage Studios comics. In this version, Splinter was formerly human, an honorable ninja master named Hamato Yoshi, who studied art history as a hobby. He was banished from the Foot Clan, a Japanese dynasty of ninjas founded by one of his distant ancestors. After one of his students, the power-hungry and seditious Oroku Saki, who resented Yoshi's leadership within the clan and aspired to usurp him, set him up for an offense against a visiting master sensei. Disgraced, Yoshi was forced to leave his native Japan and relocate to New York City, where he began living in the sewers with a rat and as were his only friends. Meanwhile, Saki was given command of the Foot Clan, which he corrupted and transformed into a criminal organization. Sometime later, Yoshi adopted 4 turtles after they were accidentally dropped into the sewers by an unnamed boy. He returned from his explorations around New York one day to find the turtles covered with a strange glowing ooze. The substance caused the turtles, who were most recently exposed to Yoshi, to become humanoid, while Yoshi, who was most recently exposed to sewer rats, became a humanoid rat and was given the name Splinter by the turtles. Yoshi raises the 4 turtles as his sons and trains them in the art of ninjutsu, and he named them after his favorite Italian Renaissance artists, Leonardo, Michelangelo, Donatello, and Raphael. Meanwhile, Oroku Saki eventually leaves Japan and tracks Yoshi to New York City, where he intends to destroy him once and for all. It is also around this time that he begins working with Krang, a disembodied alien brain from Dimension X, who ruled his native realm with an iron fist until he was stripped of his body and banished to Earth. Saki takes on a new pseudonym, the Shredder, donning a suit covered with razor spikes and complemented by a long purple cape, a metal samurai helmet, and a metal mask over his mouth. Since leaving Japan, his ambitions have grown from usurping leadership of the Foot Clan to world domination. To this end, Krang provides the Shredder with a vast array of powerful technology from Dimension X, including the Technodrome, and funds most of his schemes throughout the series. Now, it becomes clear early on in the series that the mutagen which transformed the Turtles and Splinter into their new forms was dumped into the sewers by Shredder in an effort to murder Yoshi, as he had mistakenly believed it to be a deadly poison rather than a transformative agent. Anyway, so with the help of Splinter, they managed to get into some action. Now, Soon, while they're in action, they rescue and befriend news reporter April O'Neil, who works for Channel 6, who becomes one of their strongest allies. Anyway, despite all of what's happening, the Turtles, who had rarely left the sewers prior to meeting April, also began to take on the role of semi-vigilante crime fighters. Despite this, they frequently have to deal with citizens misunderstanding them, largely due to the efforts of Channel 6 newsmen Berg Thompson and Vernon Fenwick, who both distrust the Turtles big time and frequently and wrongfully blame them for the trouble that Shredder and Crank cause. Well, the only other human that, is that kind of does rely on the Turtles sometimes is Irma, who's a real klutzy reporter at Channel 6. And, she doesn't trust him at first, but soon April, kind of gets, her to, gets her to take a shine to the Turtles. Anyway, they rely on April either via their Turtlecom or Channel 6 news reports. Yep. Also, reluctant to expose themselves to the outside world, the Turtles initially wear disguises whenever they leave the sewers. Although this is slowly relaxed as the series progresses, and they gain trust of the broader populace, whom they have saved from Shredder and other villains on many occasions. Among some of those other villains include Shredder and Crank's Goonies, Bebop and Rocksteady, Baxter Stockman, originally a crazed scientist who becomes a mutated fly. Other villains include the Rat King, Leatherhead, Slash, as well as rock soldiers from Dimension X, led by General Trag, plus a lot of other villains. Anyway, but they're no match for the Turtles with their weapons. Leo provides his katana swords, Dom provides his bow staff, Raph with his sai, and Michelangelo, or should I say Mike, or Mikey, with his nunchucks. Anyway, the show was really big and what have you, and helped launch the characters into mainstream popularity and became one of the most popular animated series in television history. Anyway, and this show had more episodes than any other tune that started in the 80s going into the 90s. This had more episodes than even the original He-Man or Thundercats. Because those shows had 130 episodes produced throughout their run. TMNT had 193 big episodes. Many things would come up, including plush toys, breakfast cereals, which I remember those, as well as action figures provided by Playmates Toys. Yeah. There was also an Archie Comics comic book series based on the animated show instead of the original black and white comics published throughout the late 80s and early 90s. Anyway, by 1990, the series was being shown daily. Because in 1989, when the show went into its third season, it went to 5 days a week. And continued on being shown daily on more than 125 television stations in 1990, where that same year, the Turtles were actually back on Saturday mornings when CBS picked them up. Now, let's see here. It's pretty tough here and what have you. Yes. Now, of course, the show still continued to be airing in reruns in syndication until 1993. Now, there were two different intros, if you've seen them both. And it started on CBS as an hour-long show for its next few years. Well, making it only the second show on the network to air for a full hour next to Garfield and Friends. Also, there would be a brief Turtle Tip segment in between the two episodes, which served as a PSA. However, those haven't been seen again, not even on recent physical media releases. Anyway, more fun episodes came on and what have you. By 1994, the show went to a more darker tone and got more dramatic and what have you. Now, originally, they faced Shredder and Krang some more, but however, in the next to last season, oh yeah, I almost forgot. Now, the animation for the show became darker, and the color of the sky in each episode was changed to a continuous, ominous, dark red sky. The theme song was changed, the introduction sequence, adding clips from the first live-action feature released in 1990. But anyway, starting with the next to last episode, the Turtles encounter a new villain in the form of Lord Dreg, an evil alien warlord from Dimension X. He became the new lead villain. Later on, we didn't get to see much of any of the other characters and what have you. Now later on, after the next three episodes, the show ended in 96, but however, it continued in reruns until 97. And, well, that's that. The Turtles would eventually become one of the most popular shows and one of the greats and what have you. I've actually loved this show. I've actually seen every episode, as a matter of fact. Which, if you haven't seen one of my earlier videos, here's something cool. I actually have the complete series here in this here big collector set. This, of course, was the original release. I got it from Hastings years back when they were still going. Yeah, and I have rewatched these a couple of times. I also do have a video cassette that I got when I was a member of the Burger King Kids Club. Now, because Family Home Entertainment actually released several of the episodes. Anyway, now all seasons are currently available. Later on, the show got put into a more slimmer packaging. So anyway, yeah. And that was really cool. But anyway, it has been on video on demand as well on Amazon and iTunes, but in standard definition. Just thought you all know that. But anyway, there'd also be a children's magazine of TMNT. And of course, there'd be video games as well, and the arcades, as well as the original Nintendo and various other systems. Now, aside from the US, in the UK, it was titled Teenage Mutant Hero Turtles. This was due to the controversy surrounding ninjas and related weapons such as nunchaku at the time. Of course, that's the same thing as nunchucks and what have you. Yeah. Incredible and what have you. And they had to change up some things too. It did air in other European countries. Now, some did use the original title, but anyway, yeah. While it was still being successful in syndication, it later also got aired in Canada on Teletoon Retro recently, a few years back, and before I think right about the time it got changed to the darker tone, reruns of the classic Funfield series got aired on the USA Network, Cartoon Express, which unfortunately it was right in its last year, as a matter of fact, before going to the Action Extreme Team block for the next couple of years. But on the whole, I really do like Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. It's a classic. Now, for our voice acting cast, we have Cam Clark voicing Leonardo. Voicing Donatello is Barry Gorin, who recently lent his voice to several shows like Jabberjaw and the Snorks. And of course, he more recently did the voice of the title character for a film that, well, Fred Wolf and his other colleagues worked on, which of course was the underrated animated feature, The Adventures of the American Rabbit. Now, Greg Berg actually voiced him in just 6 episodes in the 3rd season, what have you. Well, of course, Greg Berg was best known for voicing Baby Scooter on Muppet Babies, and he also voiced the Big 2XL on the Mark Summers hosted game show Pick Your Brain. Voicing Raphael is Rob Paulsen. For most of the run, Tom Pinto did in season 3, and Michael Goff did him in the 10th season. Hal Rail did him in the European side season, because later on, USA aired a special side season series where the Turtles head to Europe. Michelangelo is voiced by Townsend Coleman, who does an absolutely real good job. It was one of my favorites in my heavy. He's the ultimate comic relief of this show. Let's see. Now, as for Master Splinter, he's originally voiced by Peter Renaday in most of his appearances. Townsend Coleman did him in a couple of season 5 episodes. Renee Jacobs voices April. Irma is voiced by Jennifer Darling, who recently lent her voice to the Dungeons and Dragons cartoon and several other tunes. There's also another character, few other characters I didn't mention, including Casey Jones, a violent, impulsive, and overzealous street fighting vigilante who is a friend with the Turtles. He fights using sports equipment and wears a hockey mask. He's voiced by Pat Fraley, who recently voiced several characters, most notably characters in the Filmation Ghostbusters cartoon and its last show, Brave Star. Rob Paulsen also voices a 14-year-old boy named Zach, who looks up to the Turtles and is their biggest fan. He's dubbed the 5th Turtle. Let's see here. There's also the Punk Frogs, the mutant frog counterparts to the Turtles. Attila, voiced by Townsend Coleman. Genghis, voiced by Jim Cummings, who, of course, was soon to be the now voice to a certain Winnie the Pooh and several other characters at Disney. Pat Fraley also voiced one of the Punk Frogs, Napoleon, and Nicholas O'Mara voiced Rasputin. Next up, we have the Neutrinos, an alien race of teenagers from Dimension X whose only goal in life is to have fun. Now, the 3 they visit are Dask, voiced by Tom Pinto, Zach, voiced by Pat Fraley, and Kayla, voiced by Tress MacNeille, who would later go on to voice Gadget in Chip and Dale Rescue Rangers, as well as Babs Bunny in Tiny Toon Adventures and Dot in Animaniacs. Of course, Rob Paulsen took part of some of those shows as well. Anyway, there were lots of other voices as well. Now, as for the villains, the Shredder was voiced by the late great James Avery in season 1 to the first half of season 7. Yes, of course, that's the James Avery we know best from TV's The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. Dorian Harewood did him in 4 season 3 episodes. Pat Fraley did him in 1 season 3 episode. Jim Cummings did him in 1 season 5 episode, and most of the European side season. And Townsend Coleman did him for the second half of season 7. And he would appear in some of the other episodes, including the Lord Dreg episodes, where William E. Marin voiced him. Cam Clark voiced Rocksteady. Barry Gorin did Bebop, although Greg Berg did him in 6 season 3 episodes and 1 episode of the European side season. Pat Fraley voiced Baxter Stockman and also voiced Krang in most of the episodes. Townsend Coleman did him in 4 season 3 episodes. But anyway, now there's lots of others and what have you. But there's just so many. The list goes on. And what have you for all these baddies. So anyway, now you know about Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. I'm sure a lot of you know about it. Anyway, I love this show. It's just one of my favorites. So anyway, now later on there, after this, the Turtles would be back in several other shows. There would be a show in the mid 2000s on the Fox network, and also later on the CW network, as well as a recent series for Nickelodeon. Oh yeah, and there'd also be the movie series from New Line Cinema. Paramount would have a couple of movies. Warner Bros. Did an animated film. But there's probably going to be another TMNT movie coming up. I don't know when, but, well, we'll see what happens. Anyways. Oh, there's too much to say about this. If you want to revisit this show and you can't find anywhere, find it on DVD. I think you can find it for a reasonable price, but I think you'll have to find it in the more slimmer packaging. Because believe me, if you go for this here big complete series set that came out years back, you'll probably have to pay an arm and a leg to get it. Anyway, so now you know about the original Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. So what did you think? What do you think of this show? Did you ever grow up watching this? I bet a lot of you did. You can tell me in the comments section below, and you can tell me what your thoughts are on the show as well. Also, be sure to subscribe and be a part of the Big D Nation. And stay tuned for my spoiler-free review of The Batman coming up later tonight. So thank you for checking out the Saturday Morning TVLog of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. And if you like this, you may want to consider checking out some of these other fun-filled tunes of superheroes. In the upper left-hand corner is the TV log I did for the original Thundercats. The upper right-hand corner is the TV log I did for one of my favorite 90s zany superhero tunes. That was Darkwing Duck from Disney. Or you can go to the bottom left-hand corner and see my recent Saturday Morning TV log for the Super Globetrotters from 1979, which there happens to be now streaming on Tubi. And the bottom right-hand corner is the button you can click to subscribe. If you like rankings and reviews on movies, TV, music, video games, etc., as well as the Saturday Morning TV logs, then I'm your guy. Thank you for watching, and next week's Saturday Morning TV log is The Karate Kid. Until next time, I'm the Big D saying, see ya, dudes.